What should we call this one?
We should call this one Get Skinny with Jesus.
Get skinny with Jesus.
Get skinny with Jesus. I was listening to Jay Shetty today, and he had Alicia Keys on.
Interesting.
I know. I love her. But he was talking about how, like, your body will process stress, things like that. And he's like, my body would get really tense and tight everywhere. And then he was like, and then I'd realize it was gone. And I'm like, I don't know that I've ever realized my back is suddenly better without effort. You know, like a massage, like without some Asian lady stepping on my river dancing all over my back. I don't think that I've ever just, I feel less stressed. I don't know what that's like.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Wait, Jay was saying that or Alicia Keys was saying that?
Jay.
Interesting. Well, I mean, he does do a lot of work and puts a lot of effort into it.
His mental game is strong.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I want to listen to that one because I wonder what she has to say about, like, spirituality and stuff, like, especially for him. Like, what does she say? Does she get into Guru Jagat at all?
No, she was...
Or her spiritual
journey? She has a line out. She has a line of some sort. Something about
does?
soul keys, something, yeah. Crystal enriched face cleanser things, I think. I know.
Interesting.
I know. It was a reach.
Okay,
but I mean,
so
she still had really beautiful things to say.
Speaking of Alicia Keys, and now we've got back to Guru Jagat.
Oh, okay.
Have you started watching the documentary?
I have not.
On HBO or Max or whatever?
No.
I keep starting it, and then I get so, like, just hearing her voice makes me so mad that I have to keep pausing for my own mental health.
Yeah, so you're like,
She hasn't even gotten to the part, like, the melon diet. She hasn't even gotten to the melon diet. She's still Kundalini Katie at this point in the show where I'm watching, and I can't deal.
It's just rage.
It's
just straight rage.
But the interviews are just so, there's so much more to the interviews because they do go into Yogi Bhajan and, like, all the girls that kind of brought it down with the,
I love that.
The shadow work page or whatever, or that Nicole, I think her name's Nicole Norton, the one that, like, kind of brought it down. I know. I put a noise gate on this. I hope it doesn't, like, fuck up the recording.
What the fuck is that?
It's the freeway.
You are lying. I've never heard that in my life.
It's the freeway.
It sounds like somebody's doing donuts.
It sounds like someone's, like, revving a motorcycle and, like, really trying to impress his girlfriend.
Yeah. But, like, just burning all his tread. See, it's done.
Yeah.
I bet you somebody was doing donuts somewhere. But I bet you it smells like rubber somewhere.
Or it's, like, a guy on, like, a little, like, crotch rocket.
Yeah.
Just, like,
I've never heard that here in my life.
Have you watched Detroiters?
No.
Is it on Netflix? It's the Tim Robinson. It's like an old Tim Robinson and Sam Richardson show. It's old. It's so good. It's so stupid. But there's one where they get a motorcycle to share, and they're like, we can't just, like, blow off our, like, entire day just to, like, you know, go ride, right? And one of the other guys is like, yeah, my crotch is literally throbbing for it. It's so stupid.
You'd be so proud of me. Sans drink. I know.
Look at
Tommy
you.
did offer me one when I came out, too.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I think I'm going to stop drinking during the week. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And
I often don't, but I feel like because the last 2 days, my kids have been driving me crazy.
Yeah, I just think that, like, especially, like, coming off of this last weekend was so much. But
I know. So we were so worried about our vibe because I feel like, was that 2 episodes ago? 2 episodes ago, we were so tired and our vibe was so low.
Yeah.
And we figured out the reason why was because we actually hung out. And so we lost all of our momentum.
Yeah.
And so we saw each other. We did bingo on Thursday. We ran into each other on Saturday.
Of all places.
And then just continued to rage, aka did 2 puzzles.
Oh my God. They were so good too.
Yeah.
Those were good puzzles.
You know why? Because they were the 500s. The 500s you could just like knock out quickly.
Oh yeah. And like just have a good
also,
conversation.
one was a child's puzzle.
That's fine.
But
That's fine.
Yeah.
Did we say, oh, here, harps, this one
And then did we do the whole
do the
puzzle?
whole thing?
Yeah, we did.
And give her the last little piece to do. Like,
She felt like she was on top of the world, though.
She had the biggest smile. She was happy.
Yeah.
Happy as a clam.
She did her little shoulder dance.
Yeah.
So I guess we should get into it. But first, we have housekeeping. A little bit of housekeeping to do.
Let's get into it.
You may have noticed or may not have noticed and just noticed that the picture was the same. But we have decided to change the name of the podcast.
Why, you ask?
Some people are fucking nasty. And also, if we want to make like shirts, like this Christmas was like, I want to make us spiritually fucked mugs.
Oh my God.
But then if you're drinking out of a spiritually fucked mug, are you spiritually fucked? Is the person reading it spiritually fucked? Is the coffee spiritually fucked?
Questions.
It's very insulting.
It is. But it's just this like, you know what? I just don't want to have to explain it. And if you have to explain it, then maybe we should pivot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it wasn't landing the way that it lands for us.
Yeah.
It wasn't landing for everybody else.
Yeah. So I think it will be good. But from now on, our new podcast name is The Cultural Zeitgeist, with an emphasis on the little cult part. The cultural zeitgeist. Since most of the time that's what we talk about anyway.
Yeah.
So if you want to follow, we've changed our name on Instagram to @TheSpiritualZeitgeist. And if you want to double check that you're followed here so that you'll keep getting updates, because I'm not sure if you can still find it. You probably still can find the podcast if you look up Spiritually Fucked. And we're going to keep the artwork until the end of the year, just so that mentally you're like, oh.
Yeah, you're not like, ah.
Yeah, but in the new year, we're going to go full cultural zeitgeist. So be tuned. Stay tuned.
In the tuned
for that.
Be with the tuned and stay.
So other than that, I'm Jenna.
I'm Jess.
I was going to do something else. This happens every single week. I plan on doing this one particular episode, and then I'm like, I'm not in the mood. And because things went a little south last week, again, talking about gross dudes with sexual assault claims against them doesn't feel good. So instead, I'm going to do another case about a woman. Oh. She's not good. Well,
does she get murderous?
She doesn't murder anybody.
Oh. Okay.
But
that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. But Rick Allen Ross, not the rapper,
not to be confused,
did call her organization a cult. So there is that. So Joyce Green was born May 26, 1940 in Brooklyn, New York, to Jewish parents. She grew up pretty modestly in a basement apartment near Coney Island, which gives me Laverne and Shirley. Did you ever watch Laverne and Shirley?
No, but I think I can see them.
They have like this little
short hair.
Yeah, it's like in the 60s. I think it was a spinoff of Happy Days.
Okay.
Yeah. So her mother died when she was 13, leaving her to her own devices, I know, while her father worked to provide for them. So she would spend her time at the Coney Island boardwalk, making friends with the unhoused people who lived under the boardwalk and sometimes selling umbrellas. But by all accounts, Joyce was like super magnetic and she loved to gab. She had a thick Brooklyn accent. So speaking of Jersey Shore. And she was funny and gorgeous. She had this long black hair, dark eyes, this super beautiful wide smile. And in 1955, she's on the boardwalk when Sal DiFiore struts up to her and starts flirting. You know, a little, what do they call it?
Little swag in his...
Yeah, but like
stride in his step, little...
What is it? Gym Tan Laundry vibes.
Oh, the GTLs of it all. Yeah. He's giving Guido, like...
Yes, very machismo.
Okay.
So he starts flirting with her. He's tan, he's young, he's confident, he's GTL guy. So they get married a year later.
Oh, shit!
I know. Quickly have 3 kids. Jimmy, Denise, and Molly. They live out like a super stereotypical life. Dinner at 6 p.m. sharp every night. Sunday dinners. Sal was a driver for Coca-Cola, and she was like this very normal 60s housewife.
Yeah. I bet you that was back when like you could do it on one income and that just being like normal.
Of a delivery driver?
Yeah. And like have a fruitful life.
Yeah. So she's busy, always cooking. So she gained a little bit of weight. And, well, according to Sal, she had gained a little bit of weight. And Sal was an asshole. And one night in 1972, she's chowing down on some delicious grub. That she made for her family. And he says, you should eat a little.
He's dead to me. Did she kill him then?
No, she doesn't kill anybody.
Did she look at him and slit his throat with her eyeballs?
No, but I do see this as a catalyst for almost everything that happens after.
Oh, I'm triggered right now, and Aldrich would never.
No, Tommy would never.
Never.
Ever.
Even though I've asked him, can you tell me? He just looks at me with love. You look the same in my eyes. That's not the assignment I gave you, but also, I would kill him, and he knows it. God.
But it's like the way in which, like, the tone that when I read it, you know, I could like hear it in my head and I'm like, that was so fucking rude.
That is so fucking rude and just out of pocket. Like left,
So just like us, never forgets it.
Of course not.
And immediately enrolls in a Jack LaLanne weight loss class. Do you know Jack LaLanne?
I know there's a juicer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was the godfather of like personal fitness. He opened the first chain of gyms. He liked to work. He had workout videos.
Oh, wow.
All in like the 50s and 60s. And to promote all of this, he'd do like fitness stunts. And he would like swim from Alcatraz to like Fisherman's Wharf.
But like, don't people die doing that?
In handcuffs. Yeah.
What in the...
While towing a boat.
So ridiculous.
So he was like ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was wild. That doesn't have anything to do with anything, but like there's on Arrested Development, Martin Short plays a character similar to Jack LaLanne.
Oh my God.
And Tommy and I constantly quote him. So when I saw Jack LaLanne, I was like, oh my God. So it's at this Jack LaLanne gym where she takes a class in breath work and yoga for the first time and falls in love with it.
Aww.
And she almost automatically just is like, I'm not a 50s or 60s housewife anymore. I'm just like a full-blown hippie.
I am that I'm a full-blown hippie. That is not what I was thinking.
You thought that she was going to be like,
I am that bitch.
I'm that bitch?
Yes.
No, she was like, I'm a hippie now.
I'm a hippie now. Peace, love.
And because she's a talker and she was a little bit older and so charismatic, she draws in a crowd of younger hippies looking for some direction. And it probably helps that she's like super maternal and probably very assertive.
Right.
She's like, this
she's
is
like
what you
mama,
gotta do.
Like
yeah,
a
she's
mama
like, you
bear
want
hippie
to be in line, this is what you gotta do.
Yeah.
And so kids are like, yes.
Which is so funny because she's like, that's like what you don't, like, I never am like, oh, that's a, like, that person, that yogi is very direct. You know what I mean? I think that, like, I usually think
honestly,
they come roundabout. Oh.
Honestly, the best teachers are direct.
Yeah.
Because otherwise,
when you're teaching.
Well, when you're teaching and when you're giving instruction about, like, you know.
Yeah. Okay, I can see it.
I'm more skeptical of people who talk in a more roundabout way rather than being direct. Like in my mind, I don't know if this is how it went down. But it was probably like, if you want to be enlightened, you got to do the work and you got to meditate.
Right. Roll up your
If
sleeves.
you want to do,
right to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No
I
funny
just don't
business.
think when I think of a yogi or I think of like a teacher, they're just like very peaceful and serene and I don't know. I'm not thinking this like in your face, not in your face, but maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm imagining.
Yeah, and also this is still in the 70s.
Yeah.
So it's like, very odd for back then. Mm-hmm. So Sal says in an interview, Sal, the guy we hate.
Yes.
He said, quote, "I couldn't believe it. She controlled those people. They were all super rich kids who were dysfunctional and they would go to her for guidance. Her norm was a high upbeat, like bomb, bomb, bomb. Then she'd be mellow."
What is
I can't do the accent, but
like bomb, 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 and then she'd be mellow.
And then she'd be mellow.
I feel like every time it's coming out a little bit more, and I like it.
I know, me with my super New Yorkie vibe. So this new counterculture was starting to take over his wife turn his wife into someone he didn't quite recognize, or I guess really want, because what he wanted was a subservient
a stay-at-home housewife who like needed him.
Yeah. So one night, Sal claims he hears this loud crash and he finds Joyce frenzied, like in the living room. And she claimed to have just had a vision of Jesus.
Okay.
And she shows him her hands, which are bloodied, and claims to have experienced stigmata.
Like crucifix style?
Yeah. So stigmata, for people who don't know, are like the wounds to mirror the ones that Jesus had. So typically they're like scratches on their forehead. Sometimes people say they bleed from like the eyes, or like get the stabbies in the hands.
In the hands.
Or the wrists sometimes. So she shows him, but then wipes the blood like on her pajamas, and she's like, it disappeared. Look, there's all this blood, but there's no wound. So it must have happened. And he's like, what the fuck? He takes her pajamas to the dry cleaner, because I guess that's what you did in the 70s.
What? You didn't just like throw it under the sink?
No, but he's like,
in the faucet?
I know. So his friend is like the dry cleaner, because everyone gets everything dry cleaned back then.
Oh, that's
and
wild.
he's like, hey, can you help me get this blood out of my wife's pajamas? And he was
alert.
And he was like, that's not blood. He's like, that's the kind of
ketchup?
Stuff. No, he's like, that's the kind of like fake blood they use like in plays and in like movies and stuff.
Gotcha.
And so, but it doesn't matter, because word spreads about the stigmata. Probably the rumor mill was probably, greased by Joyce herself. But she gets asked to lecture all around the city. And she starts preaching, quote, "Get skinny with Christ or fat without him." And she promotes herself in the Palm Beach Post by saying, quote, "I lost 65 pounds on the Christ diet."
Oh my God. What the fuck? What is This is not the direction that I thought this was gonna go. No. I thought we were gonna.
You thought she was gonna kill him.
I thought Earl had to die. I thought we were gonna.
No, I said at the beginning.
I don't know.
Lives.
Maybe
he was around to do the interview.
Oh my God! Dang, you're right. I don't know. This is not where I thought it was going at all.
It's not. You're gonna be so mad.
Skinny with Christ.
Yeah. So she starts claiming to have visions of not just Jesus, but also of a few other Indian gurus of the time. The main one she claims to have seen was Neem Karoli Baba, and he was dead by the time she said that she had these visions. But he was an Indian guru who was kind of the real deal. And he promoted bhakti yoga, which is like a devotional, like through meditation, prayer, and but in the form of service.
Okay.
So like performing acts of service as the highest devotion to God or whatever that is. So he's also this adorable little dude, always wrapped in a plaid blanket, meditating. And
that sounds amazing.
I know.
That sounds incredible.
Most yogis will know a handful of his followers. Ram Dass, who we'll talk about in a little bit. Krishna Das, who is a kirtan singer, and Jaya Uttal, who's also like a musician. So in this vision, Neem Karoli Baba apparently gave her the name Ma Jaya Bhagavati, which that gives Guru Jagat, Katie Griggs vibes.
Yeah.
But Ma means mother. Jaya is like joy, like a joyful victory. So like they use it a lot in chanting. And Bhagavati is like goddess energy. So like...
Okay, I was going to say, I've heard you say Bhagavati before, but I wonder if it was during your goddess class.
Possibly.
Or just, in life.
But it's like very like, okay, he just gives you like the dopest name ever.
You just get it? Okay.
So she also has visions of this guy named Bhagwan Nityananda, who's also very legit. He would sit in silent meditation and would very rarely give verbal teachings, but he would also throw rocks at anyone who came to his meditations and were disruptive.
He's like meditating. He's like, hold on.
He's like, you're not here to learn. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah.
Stoned.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Also in her visions, she had some past life work that she had done in her visions. And guess who? I think I already spoiled it last week, but guess who she said she was in a past life?
Old Egyptian. Oh gosh.
Cleopatra.
Cleopatra.
I did think you were going to say Winston Churchill. Oh my God, wouldn't that be hilarious if she was like, I was also Winston Churchill.
The life before. Could you imagine? It's just so ridiculous. No.
So good.
I like it.
So her following blew up to include hundreds of mostly college-age kids. And in 1975, Joyce leaves Sal, her husband, and her two oldest children, Jimmy and Denise. She brings her youngest, Molly, to live with her in the house of Hilda Charlton. Yes, she leaves everybody. 2 kids.
Dang.
For some reason, only brings the little one.
Yeah.
And
Molly, I can still control you maybe, or you're not,
I guess, like, Jimmy, I think, was between 12 and 14. I can't remember. So maybe that was why she took her. But she lives in the house of Hilda Charlton. She was a spiritual teacher in New York who was a dancer. She traveled all through India, studied Hinduism and meditation, and she was good friends with Richard Alpert, aka Ram Dass. Ram Dass, we talked about him briefly in the previous episode, the Marcia Moore episode. He was a researcher at Harvard alongside Timothy Leary, experimenting with the therapeutic effects of psychedelics, mainly LSD. In 1963, the controversy around the research got them fired from Harvard. After that, Leary and Ram Dass moved to a commune in New York to continue their research, but mostly it just is like yoga and meditation retreat. And Ram Dass becomes more interested in finding samadhi, or like enlightenment kind of, within his own self rather than with using other substances. So this leads to a trip to India where he meets with Neem Karoli Baba, which completely changes his life. He comes back with his new name, Ram Dass, which means servant of God, mainly Vishnu, the sustainer. And he publishes
the sustainer. I just had to say it like that. The sustainer.
That's how I remember it. I don't know why.
It's so good. By the way, not related to anything.
But it's like the hand motion and everything.
We have to address your ketamine situation when you went to your... How did we not talk about it?
We should talk about it now.
Okay.
So side note, if you listened to last week's episode, I was not drinking anything other than a huge jug of colonoscopy prep
Colonoscopy juice? It was pink drink, we were calling it?
Yeah, we were calling it pink drink. But after the episode, so I went and got my colonoscopy.
And we were all talking about, like, during the episode, the last episode, we were talking about ketamine and the different uses for it.
And my mom had sent me a video of this woman who, like, someone had put ketamine in her colonoscopy cocktail of, like, to, like, knock her out. And she came out, and I was so freaked out. And so I went to go get my colonoscopy. Don't remember anything, but I do remember coming out of it. And I was like, oh, I meant to ask you. And they were like, no, there's no ketamine. And the way in which they said it, you know that I had asked many times.
They were like, no, Jenna.
No,
they literally
there
were like...
was no ketamine. It wasn't even just one person saying it. It was like the whole...
The eyes...
Everyone... There's no ketamine.
Yeah, it was like everybody eye rolling at oh, she's at it again, guys. She's at it again.
I die.
Makes me so happy. Because I literally was like, it was the day of the election results and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, tell me you farted or something. I need a little pick-me-up. And you were like, no. And then you gave me this little nugget.
I was like, sorry, I wasn't gassy, but I did ask apparently enough to annoy them.
Yeah. Enough for them to have a physical...
Because I didn't even say ketamine. They knew where I was going. Yeah. And they cut me off before I could get there again.
I need to know how many times you said it.
I bet you they wouldn't even remember. I don't know. Or maybe they're telling everyone, oh my God, this girl kept asking about ketamine.
I won't tell you her name because HIPAA, but she's ridiculous.
Can you believe it?
This many times.
I know. I feel like it had to have been like 3 or 4 times.
At minimum is what I'm thinking. The way in which because they shot back at me. They're so used to people being loopy, right? Yeah. So they have like the certain level of tolerance. And the way in which they did not offer you a smidge of that tolerance tells me you wore it out.
Yeah, I definitely wore out the ketamine. They probably were like, ha ha ha. Oh, she's still asking.
This is a thing. Oh, she's not letting this go, is she?
I was really worried about it.
Yeah, clearly.
Okay, anyway, back to these drugs.
Okay.
Oh, well, not these drugs. He's not on drugs anymore. Ram Dass is not on drugs anymore.
Drug-free.
But he publishes, so he's back from India, new name. He publishes a book called Be Here Now in 1971, and it like blows up in the counterculture. And in 1975, he's basically like yoga celebrity. And Hilda Charlton invites him over to meet Joyce while he's in town on a stopover to New Hampshire. And when he comes to meet her, she's meditating in the basement, and he walks in and she's like, what do you want?
Oh.
And he's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And so he takes this as like a sign of her authenticity, that she's the real deal. Mm-hmm. Because she's got these like huge fake lashes. She's like tons of gold jewelry. She's got a low-cut shirt, so her like yabos were hanging out.
Yabos.
And she wasn't acting like the stereotypical like, oh, namaste, namaste. So he took that as like, oh,
she's raw.
Like she doesn't have to fake it. Right. She's just like, she's her. She's authentic.
Yeah.
And so they nerd out for hours about Neem Karoli Baba. And to Ram Dass, she seems to know so much about him that he does buy that she communicated with his spirit.
That is insane.
And so instead of going to New Hampshire, he decides to stay in New York and get an apartment close by. But by all accounts, he was just staying with them. He was staying with Hilda and Joyce because there's debate. I'm pretty sure they were fucking, but but we'll see. They both say no, but okay.
Okay.
So Ram Dass was enamored with Joyce and how she could quote poetry for hours and channel the spirits. And when word spread that Ram Dass found a spiritual teacher in New York, even more people flocked to Joyce.
Oh shit!
So there were many people wanting to follow her that they had to screen people. They were like no. Let's see how real you want to be about this before you can even come to a class to see what she's about.
Oh my God.
And so Joyce and Ram Dass were out there talking each other up. Ram Dass was like, they were like out there getting caught like holding hands by like some sort of like yoga paparazzi. It's like a
forbidden love.
And Ram Dass writes this article for some counterculture journal that describes her stigmata, and he claims that she bled up to a quart a day. In the article, he says, quote, "It's horrible to behold when the blood pours out of her mouth."
What is happening? No. Like literally no. Did not.
No. And so despite the followers that flocked to New York,
we've come a long way from like ketchup looking, fake prosthetic blood juice
just pouring out of someone's mouth.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like the person that you're like sexually attracted to and there's just blood pouring out of their mouth? Like,
no. That immediate soft lady
boner. It's like in their teeth.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So, despite the followers that flocked to New York, a good handful of the followers of Ram Dass's were like, what the fuck is happening here? Like, you're canoodling with this woman and you're asking us to follow the path of the Yoga Sutras, and that you specifically talk about brahmacharya, which is like celibacy, or it's conserving one's vital life energy.
Okay.
Which is basically celibacy. So it's like one of the main tenets of the Yoga Sutras. So you talk about that specifically, yet you're with this woman.
Yeah.
And it's very clear that, like, you guys are a thing.
Right.
Joyce is also talking about celibacy and brahmacharya, and it's like it's like just so obvious you guys are hooking up. So in September of 1975, something happens. I don't know how the split actually happens, but they split. And it's nasty for yogis.
Yeah.
And
it's
Ram
like
Dass,
mom and dad. Like,
yeah, it kind of feels like the hot celeb couple of the moment.
Like the Brangelina.
Yeah, they were like the Brangelina of like the yoga world at the time. And Ram Dass, after they split, Ram Dass admits in an article for Yoga Journal that he never saw her bleed quartz out of her mouth.
Okay.
He did say that he saw blood come out of her mouth, but what he now is like, oh, she duped me.
Oh, okay.
He said that, like, she was like, oh, no, into, like, a handkerchief, and then she was like, look at all this blood. Yeah. So he also said that she was asking students to buy her gold bangles to keep herself grounded. So she was just covered in jewelry. And that her Shakti energy, like she would like shake all the time, was actually caffeine pills.
Oh my God, that is so terrible.
I know.
Hartak.
Joyce later responded, or she responded like years later, so this is like much later. She says, quote, I've never ever taken any drugs except for an over-the-counter diet pill called Hungrex, nor did I ever make love to Ram Dass. I kissed him a few times and that's all. Ram Dass is an angry little boy who wanted sex and couldn't get it.
Oh, shit.
I know, which I love.
Oh my, yeah, I can tell by the way you read that too that you loved it.
He couldn't get it.
He is just this like sad little boy who didn't get his way. Like,
which I'm still like, I don't know, I think you guys were banging. But...
Oh, probably.
So the split separates the large following, and she and Ram, they'd cultivated together, and mostly all of them go with him. Mostly, not all.
That makes me sad, but, you know.
So in 1976, Joyce and her followers leave New York and buy an 80-acre riverfront property on the St. Sebastian River in Central Florida. This place is gorgeous.
So they moved out
Florida.
of that joint.
Yeah, which I don't think I would say that about anywhere in Florida, but this place is gorge. It's like
untouched areas.
These beautiful ponds. They built like a Hindu temple and a Buddhist temple. They had this large communal living structure. All the residents helped to maintain the property. They cooked vegetarian meals, practiced yoga, meditated. One thing that they didn't practice, sexy times. Because it was like...
Forbidden?
When they first started, it was like a completely celibate situation. Ma Jaya insisted it be... Oh, she's going by Ma Jaya now at this point. Remember that name? That name that...
Ma Jaya.
Yeah, Ma Jaya. So that's like a core tenet of their communal lifestyle. They opened a school that ran from kinder to 12th grade. People would be greeted by Joyce or Ma Jaya, and she would hug them and call them child and bestow upon them Hindu names.
Oh, gosh.
Which I... hate. But one woman said that, quote, when you were around her, you felt like you were stoned. Energy that surrounded her made you feel that way. So, like, I think that you were just...
You were just high by being around her?
I guess. So, at some point, Joyce marries a man named Su Se Cho, and they were struggling to get pregnant. And when she did get pregnant, she suffered a string of miscarriages.
I'm not going to age shame her at this point. How old was she at this point, though?
So if she was born in 40, so she's like late 30s.
Oh, why did I think, because she had the other ones really young.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if this is almost 19, so this is like mid 70s. She was born, I said 1940, right? So like 30, She was like
Yeah.
late 30s.
Okay.
So she has a string of miscarriages.
Sad.
And at this point, she starts arranging marriages between her followers who barely knew each other. Kashi Ashram, the ashram, denies that this ever took place. They say people married when they wanted to. There was no forced marriages that ever happened. Both of the statements could be true.
Okay.
Because if someone you think is like a divine guru is like, you should marry this person, you're not being forced. You're like, yeah, sure, I'll marry this person.
Okay. Yeah, if that's what you think is the best, I trust you.
So it's also reported that around this time, Joyce became fixated on children. Roseanne Henry said that in 1981, she and her husband wanted to have a child and they had to ask permission. Before she went into labor on October 21st, 1981, she dyed her hair black so that she would look like Joyce, signed Joyce's name on her daughter's birth certificate, and she did all of this because she believed Joyce to be the divine mother.
This is so fucked up.
Between 1978 and 1982, 4 mothers signed Joyce and her new husband as the biological parents of their children on their birth certificates.
What the fuck?
A few years later...
That is the most unnatural shit.
Uh-huh. This is also some bullshit. A few years later, the story about these kids came out in the paper, and Joyce said that she took the children to save them from abortion.
Okay.
Like, that the moms were like, oh, I'm going to have an abortion. And she's like, no, just have the baby and
so she
I'll
can
take
look like
it.
a savior, like a...
No, but all of the moms were like, no, that's not what happened.
Of course that's not what happened. She's disgusting.
A few months after Roseanne Henry gave her baby to Joyce, on the night of December 10th, ashram followers were called into the main house for a prayer session. Joyce was traveling at the time and on speakerphone, and she's popping off on a lecture, and then she goes, oh, by the way, I've married my daughter to Dada Das. Molly, her daughter, was 14. Dada Das, a.k.a. Kevin Brannon, was 25.
Ew. Ew!
Yeah. Lynn Dedmore, a follower who lived at Kashi Ashram, said that everyone looked at each other like, surely she's mistaken. Molly can't possibly be old enough to be married. Also, she thought that she did admit that she also thought that Molly was 12 at the time instead of 14, but that should not make a difference.
No!
She's still way too young. But she goes, why? I didn't think that she would hurt her own daughter, so they just reluctantly accepted it.
Oh my God. This is fucking crazy. I'm getting like... it's so much what the fuckage is happening right now.
You definitely thought we were going Earl's gotta die.
Yeah.
Or Earl has to die, and now we're full blown what's that one lady? Anne Hamilton burning.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I feel like she is the literal worst. I feel like she has stolen the Molly and taken her out to go, whatever. Molly has to, she's there. She's just in a bucket of crazy, and she took Molly along for the ride and has now married him off.
Yeah.
Or married her off to some 25-year-old willing weirdo.
Yeah. And these people who are like, yeah, okay, were like, there's no child abuse going on. So in the ashram, so this has to be legit. It's a different way, but it's okay, right? That's what they said. However, that was not... There had, in fact, been an earlier incident that was handled in the most insane way. A man had sexually assaulted a young boy. The man was severely burned with a votive candle.
Good.
A votive candle, though.
Where?
That's a votive candle.
I know, but if it's painful,
I don't know.
A slow and long burn.
I don't know, but the boy, however, was beaten and was forced to walk around the central pond naked after his genitals were colored black with magic marker.
Why?
How did he get the worst punishment?
Literally.
I'm over
here thinking
realistically,
it's a long,
what they
slow,
should have done was called the police.
Votive.
Yeah, no. please give me a votive candle.
That makes me so sad.
Yeah, they should have called the police. They didn't.
Where's this kid's parents?
I have no idea.
Ragey.
So Molly, back to Molly, recalls her mother instructing Brannon to grope her during the ceremony, and afterwards,
oh my God, that's disgusting.
Afterwards, she was raped by her new husband. Up until this point, Molly's been groomed to believe that this was actually normal, that it was appropriate for a younger girl to have sex with older men in the ashram and to have babies to give to Joyce. Kevin Brannon denies that he and Molly were ever married and that he raped her. A lawyer for the ashram also contested the validity of the claim. So there is that, but I don't know. I believe victims.
Yeah.
That is my stance on it.
Always.
So in 1989, Roseanne Henry was able to get her daughter back. She was 7 at the time. So she got her back from Joyce with the help of a 7-person SWAT team, which is probably fucking traumatic. And while at the home of her parents, she believed Joyce to be God and prayed to her every night. And allegedly, Joyce was so outraged that the girl was taken that she was desperately trying to figure out a way to steal her back. And she'd keep leaving like stuffed animals and bikes and gifts at the doorstep of the parents who lived in Colorado at this time.
Oh my God.
And then people from the ashram would follow the girl around Colorado to the point where like Roseanne Henry was like, I think I need to get a bodyguard for my kid.
Yeah. I just got my kid back.
Scary.
I just got my kid back, but there are fucking people watching and following us everywhere.
Isn't that fucking terrifying?
That's terrifying.
So fast forward to the 90s. So this is like a little uplifting sliver of like, aw, in a sea of shit.
Yeah.
But in the 90s, it's kind of when they did their best work. So in 1990, they started the River Fund, which was created for the education on AIDS and HIV. Mm-hmm. Joyce made the AIDS epidemic like her banner cause, and she made frequent visits to the comprehensive AIDS program in Palm Beach. She would bring cookies and treats for staff and patients, and she'd also wear super strong perfume because so that the boys who like lost their eyesight would be able to tell she was there.
Okay.
Which is very sweet.
Very sweet. Okay. Really?
That was about it.
Okay, good. Because I'm like, I don't fucking like her.
No. So despite that, other really shitty things happened at the ashram.
Okay.
Allegedly, in 1996, Wang Chun Rosenkrantz was viciously beaten with a tube sock. Okay, I don't know why his name is Wang Chun Rosenkrantz. I believe both his parents are white. But I think that because Joyce's new husband was Korean, he also got like kind of a Asian alien name.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's wild. Okay. It's wild to me. Okay, anyway. So, 1996, Wang Chun Rosenkrantz was viciously beaten. It sounds worse because I follow with was viciously beaten.
Yeah, literally. And we're okay. It's fine.
So, he was viciously beaten with tube socks filled with rocks for refusing to have sex with the girl Joyce had assigned to him. The beating was witnessed by a lot of people. However, Wang Chun told his dad, Richard Rosenkrantz, no, never mind. It never happened.
Oh, he got scared.
Kashi Ashram also says it never happened, despite many other people seeing it. Like, there's witnesses.
So many witnesses.
This leads to Richard Rosenkrantz going full Papa Bear. Good. So he decides to pull out of Kashi Ashram and divorces his wife, Gina, who is still a very devout follower. And in 2001, he commissioned a study of 21 former residents with cult psychologist Paul Martin. And so in the study, there's a few incidences that were already recorded that we've mentioned. Mm-hmm. But there were 9 reports of Joyce either beating residents or ordering someone else to beat them.
The fuck?
Police were called twice to remove children from her home. Joyce demanded money from followers in the form of inheritance, which we see a lot with these cult leaders. Mm-hmm. And she was also seen on 2 occasions slapping or punching children, the youngest being 2 years old.
What a fucking beast. She's honestly, I didn't see this coming. you know, she was a bridge dweller for a little bit, selling umbrellas. And now we're beating children, stealing money.
Or slugging 2-year-olds.
Slugging 2-year-olds. Mm-hmm. What?
Why?
Having your daughter, that happen to her? Like, does she, like, die or something? Is she still alive?
No, she's not.
Oh, good.
So, on May 31st, 2004, Jimmy DeFiore, he was 43 at the time, Joyce's son, died by suicide. Jimmy was 14 when Joyce left and, like, never recovered. So when he was found, there was pictures of him and his mother strewn around his apartment. The week before his death, Jimmy was checked into a hospital for addiction and depression, and he would call Molly every night, she had left the ashram at this point. Mm-hmm. And then Molly would call Joyce and beg her to help. She'd be like, just talk to him. He needs help.
Like, just, please.
Yeah.
Anything.
According to Molly, Joyce responded with, quote, "You selfish bitch. I have people dying of AIDS and a student dying of cancer on Kashi, and I have much more important things to worry about."
Than your own son? Mm-hmm. And she's calling her daughter a selfish bitch. Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Her daughter that she has abused.
Yes, correct. So, a week and a half after his death, on June 9th, Joyce sent an email to her followers that said, quote, "So many of you know how close Jimmy was to us, especially,
oh my God,
especially his mommy. He proudly sat by his mom, watching her take care of so many. All he had to say over and over is, 'I am so proud of you, Mommy.' His last words to his mom were that, 'I love you more than anyone, my mommy. I just want to sleep, Mom. I just want to sleep.'"
What a fucking lying ass hoe bitch.
Jimmy's 13-year-old daughter, Alexa,
speaks of her dead son,
was like, "Oh, fuck no."
Good.
So she responds with an email to the congregation and was like, she's lying, and says, quote, "I just want to show people what a terrible thing Joyce is. What a bitch. This may be hard to hear or believe, but as long as you've lived on the ranch, you have been lied to. My grandmother didn't care about my dad when he was alive. She definitely doesn't now. My dad had a lot of mental problems, and Joyce just added to them. She helped to kill him." She finished with, quote, "I have heard of many people Joyce brainwashed. One day she will get caught, and I can't wait."
Good. Oh my God.
Alexa.
I love this girl. I love this 13-year-old bad
Alexa
bitch.
DeFiore.
Yes.
Fucking kill it.
She was 13.
13.
In 2004?
And 4.
She's younger than us. She's like 35 right now.
She's like a Chad. No, he's younger than that. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. If she was
Maybe
13, there's a 5. No, 5 years younger. 5 or 6 years younger than me anyway.
Yeah. That's
so
crazy.
In 2009, Joyce opened By the River, a low-income senior living facility. It foreclosed after her death in 2023. In 2010, Julia Roberts stayed at the ashram in preparation for Eat, Pray, Love, which I don't love that movie for obvious reasons. Mm-hmm. But on April 14th, 2012, Joyce Green, a.k.a. Ma Jaya Bhagavati Cho, died at the age of 71 from pancreatic cancer. It was the way I said Cho is why I laughed.
How are we just going to throw a Cho at the end?
She married that guy.
Oh my God. That's right.
Let me do that again, like more serious.
Okay.
Ma Jaya Ma Jaya Bhagavati Cho died at age 71 from pancreatic cancer. It's sad to die, but the Cho just really got me. So people mourn deeply. Singer Arlo Guthrie spoke out in her memory. Julia Roberts emailed her condolences.
Wait, why?
She was a beloved teacher.
She was a fucking horrible person, like a horrible human.
But they might not have seen everything.
Oh, she's Diddy.
It's a ditty sitch.
ditty
Probably not as bad. I don't know. We'll see.
Who knows? We'll find out.
Molly received a text about her passing and felt extreme relief, like a weight had been lifted. And it was only then, when her mother was gone and she felt safe, that she remembered her alleged marriage and rape that was orchestrated by her mom. So she had like completely blocked everything out.
Trauma block. It's like to like preserve yourself.
So she sued the ashram in 2013, and the ashram maintains that it's suspicious timing since Molly was left out of the will, and Molly said she didn't care about the money, she just wants people to know the truth. They ended up settling out of court for an undisclosed amount.
Whatever it wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough. Rick Allen Ross referred to Ma Jaya as a charismatic leader of a potentially destructive cult. And that is that.
Yeah, that's disgusting. Honestly, potentially destructive cult. Okay.
Of a potentially destructive cult.
Yeah. No. I wish she would have died sooner. I know that sounds harsh. I don't.
You know what?
When you start doing shit with kids and babies.
I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt for most of the story because I was like, okay, maybe you were like, maybe a little disingenuous at times. Mm-hmm. But the fact that the ashram denies that she married Molly to that 25-year-old, despite other people being on that phone call and saying, yeah, we heard it. And we were all like, what the fuck? Like, they looked at each other and were like, she didn't say that, right? And the letter about Jimmy is really yucky.
So then...
He loved his mommy. And also, his is capital H, mommy is capital M throughout the whole email.
And it's all about her.
He sat by and watched his mommy heal people. He was so
proud of his mommy. He said, Mommy, I love you more than anything.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
That wasn't you. That was her using him.
Oh, absolutely.
To make her look good.
The fuckery. That sucks.
So yeah, that is her. So women can be equally as terrible as men.
Yeah. Now I don't even feel so bad for her husband being like...
He dodged a bullet.
Eat less or whatever he said. Yeah.
You know what, though? If he hadn't been like, why don't you eat a little?
Then she would have never...
Maybe she would have never gotten to that point. She would have
just been cooking. And raising her children.
Her grandkids, making them eat, like...
Good food.
She
was probably really good at it.
Probably.
Keep cooking.
Keep cooking. Keep eating.
Keep eating. That's what we'll
keep
call
cooking
this one.
And keep eating.
Keep cooking.
Or have someone else cook for you and eat. That'd also be great,
That's
too.
where it's at.
I don't live that life, but I hate cooking.
I literally do live that life. You know what Aldrich made tonight?
What?
Vindaloo.
Ooh, you know what I made tonight? Oh, actually, no, Tommy did cook tonight.
Ooh.
Stouffer's French bread pizzas.
Ooh, we apply that heat.
And I made a bagged Caesar salad to go on the side.
Did you make it fancy with the crushed red pepper?
Fuck yeah, I did.
Yeah, you know that's right. That's the only way.
Add a little black pepper.
Ooh.
Yep. I didn't have any crunchy jalapeno bits to put in.
You know
that would have just been... Mwah.
That would have just been over the top goodness. Mm-hmm. I did buy the crispy onions, though, from Costco. They're like $5 big-ass bag.
I haven't been able to find the jalapenos anywhere.
No, I can't either. Remember when they used to sell them at Costco, too?
Yeah. What's the deal?
I don't know.
Are people buying them? Did they discontinue them?
Do I need to write a strongly
worded letter? Do we need
to
try to figure out how to, like, get, like, DIY it? Because I really love them.
They're so good. I think Aldrich tried to make them one time. I don't remember it going well.
Yeah, because it's like they're dehydrated.
They're super dehydrated. Yeah, I think he tried to make them with the fresh. You know him.
Yeah, I know. No.
Did he make the vindaloo from the box? No.
He made it from scratch.
He made it from scratch. He's ridiculous. I love it.
What should we call this one?
We should call this one... We have to do something that has to do with like the stigmata of it all. What was the most ridiculous? Maybe the whole get skinny with Jesus.
Get skinny with Jesus.
Get skinny with Jesus.
And stigmata.
And I swear it was probably ketchup.
It was the quart of blood a day that actually was the weight loss.
Coming from her mouth.
Ugh. So disgusting.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, look out for the name change.
The cultural zeitgeist.
The cultural zeitgeist. Make sure that you follow us. If you can subscribe to the podcast, maybe leave a review if you love us.
Oh my gosh, we need to shout out the people who left reviews.
Yes. If you've left a review, can you DM me so that I can shout you out properly?
Yeah, because we don't have like real names.
I don't have like real names in a way to be like, yo, I love you.
Yeah.
You said really nice things.
Yeah.
So if you have left a review and you want a shout out, if you could DM us, that would be great. And that's at the Spiritual Zeitgeist on Instagram. And we are excited for this name change, and we hope that you are excited too.
Hell yeah.
I know. Look at us. We might make shirts. We might make mugs. Who knows with this name change? Anything is possible.
Right?
And also, when I look and see, how did people find us?
It's not going to say.
I won't be disgusted.
People are wild. We are too, but not like that.
Some y'all
I'm not trying to look up things getting fucked like that.
No. Fucked the other way, like the fuck you way.
Yeah.
Not the, ooh, fuck you way.
No.
Okay. Well, we're calling it a night.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.